Could this change ICP? Now, very recently, Dominic Williams, the founder of Dfinity, highlighted, I think, arguably the importance of something like Caffeine AI. Now, nothing I say is financial advice, and I'll talk about the price of ICP very soon, but I'll talk about this real quick because we have to take a look at how things are traditionally done when it comes to the internet computer. We have to consider. Usually, developers, they have to go through this kind of, I think, laborious process because, for instance, if we take a look at it, right? ICP supports multiple programming languages. We all already know that. However, if we take a look at Motoko, it's a language basically that was designed by Dfinity, but it doesn't really lock in developers to only kind of do that because, for instance, supported through canister development kits, we see something like TypeScript, Python, C++, Solidity, and as well as many others. Despite all that, right? Not every single individual is going to be well-versed in something like that. So could you imagine if, let's say, someone wants to launch something on the internet computer and they have to go through all of that? It's going to be a little bit of a laborious process. However, through Caffeine AI, because it's a self-writing apps platform, quite essentially, even personally for me, I'm just using this as a random make-believe example, but I'm just saying, purely hypothetical, if I just opened up Caffeine AI and I was like, okay, make me an app that controls my schedule as to when I should get a haircut. I could, let's say, just type that in or something like that, and it could try to do that for me. That's the thing. Isn't that way easier than before? I don't have to learn C++ and all this, Python. I don't have to go through all of this. No, I don't have to. That's the thing. So isn't that going to be inherently beneficial to something like the internet computer? Again, in the aspect of Caffeine AI, simplifying that process in terms of later on, when, let's say, the space does become better in terms of the sentiment, because arguably, typically from what I can observe, usually developers, they don't want to launch things when the market is not doing the best. A lot of them just really don't want to, from what I can observe. But later on, if the market does do better, developers typically, they start entering back in. And then I think that right there could be a moment in time in which Caffeine AI could hypothetically shine. But this is all purely hypothetical. Could that change the internet computer moving forward? I like to believe so, because it's literally simplifying a traditionally kind of laborious process. Now, despite all that, though, people like to tell me, well, how does that matter? ICP is still around 42.5 times lower than $100. Well, yeah, of course. I mean, this is not going to make ICP just become popular overnight like that. It's not going to do that. And also, ICP, it's a pretty massive project. Like any project in the top 100 like that, I feel like it's going to be very difficult for it to randomly just go on a rally of its own if, let's say, the sentiment isn't doing the best. They're not microcaps. Launches, anything the founder says or anything like that, it's just not going to make a big difference, especially as of right now. But this is why I'm still a fan, because I feel like all of this type of stuff could have had a totally different sentiment if the space was doing a lot better. So if actually I feel like the project became better, yet the charts are lower, I'll be happier in terms of dollar cost averaging reasons. First of all, I'm able to bring my average down. And also, second of all, in theory, even though it has nothing to do with this, it's like me going to Costco and having my favorite item have a discount. In a make-believe scenario, if I could get more for less, I'm not going to complain about that. But this is just my mindset. It has nothing to do with this, but I'm just saying. So when it comes to ICP, again, being around 42.5 times lower than $100, for dollar cost averaging reasons, that's not going to be a moment where I'd be upset. I'd be upset if I'm looking to exit, but I don't want to do that. This is personally my mindset. As of right now, I just want to stay patient, but in the meantime, if I take a look at the fundamentals of the internet computer, I'm not disappointed. So why would I give up? It just makes no sense to me. Even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything, I'm still going to be dollar cost averaging once a month, but this is just purely what I'm doing. And I feel like what Dominic Williams said recently, I think it's pretty cool, and I think arguably Caffeine AI could maybe change the internet computer moving forward, especially in terms of the fundamentals.